Hello, I'm Archie Luxury and welcome to the program. And today I'd like to talk about the problem with European cars. And this relates to mainly modern European cars today and the problems that I think they possess. And it's a very, very interesting thing. But, you know, I do love European cars. There's something about a European car you know, they're just special. They're just special. And the thing I've got to say is that it's one of these things here, like European cars are so beautifully styled, designed, not so good on the put together part anymore, but they're still, you know, they're a quality thing. And it's rather sad that I say this, but I think the problem with modern European cars is that they have a degree of complexity, electronics, gizmos and gadgets, which that's what makes them so appealing. It's that technology that makes the car so nice to drive. And that's okay whilst it's under warranty or when it's new, but when that stuff starts to fucking play up, man, it's a nightmare to fix. It's very expensive. You go to a dealer, and one thing I found with European cars, I've got a friend who's got a 130i BMW. I've got another friend who's got an E320 W211 Mercedes E-Class. My parents have got a 323i E90. I've got a lot of friends who own European cars. My good friend Descartes in America, he's got a Porsche 911, which is the last air-cooled. He's got a Cayman for an everyday car, and his wife's just taken delivery of a C300 4MATIC, which is the four-wheel drive C-Class C300. And I gotta say, Descartes was having a go at me because I was saying the C-Class isn't really a proper Merc. But I gotta say, the six-cylinder C-Class, man, that's a fantastic car. I was mainly referring to, in the Australian marketplace, the most popular C-Class is a C200, which is a 1.8 litre four-cylinder, I think it's supercharged engine. And I just don't see the longevity in a supercharged or a turbo four-cylinder engine. I think they're going to be fucking long-term trouble 5 years into the ownership experience. But a C300, wow, that's a proper Merc. That is a proper Merc. The problem is that C300 in Australia is over $100,000 US. It's just ludicrous. And look, it's a real bastard. And I've got to say this, you know, with my with my friend with the 130i BMW, that's the 1 Series with the 3-litre 6 in it, he's had all sorts of little niggly things, and every time you take it to a stealer, the dealer, it's $1,000, and it's very, very expensive to run those fuckers. That is eye-watering expense costs. And I got to tell you the truth there. I mean, that's just fucking insane. There's no reason for it to be that high. And, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a huge Jaguar fanatic. And he said to me, this is when the XJs, you know, this is before the Indians took them over. He said, you know how long a Jaguar is designed to last? And I mean, you think a Jaguar, it's a quality car. And he said, you know, they're designed to last 7 years. 7 years from showroom to crusher. And that's not long, really. And that's the problem. In the European climate where it snows, they salt the roads, you know, the life expectancy on these things isn't great. Average people in Europe don't necessarily have a garage, and the elements really do eat into the car. But it's a very, very interesting situation. But 7 years, because That's what happens. And a lot of these European cars, they comply with environmental laws, and they're sort of disposable. And it's funny. I test drove a BMW 323i, and I opened the hood on it and compared it to my Honda Accord. And I gotta say, the Honda, look, this is I'm not saying the Honda drives better than the Beamer, because it doesn't, but just little things. In the Honda, it's got proper molded plastic for the wiring. In the BMW, it just used like electrical tape wound on. You know, just there's a lot of cheapness in it, and I think it's because the car is designed to be crushed in 7 years' time. And it's a real bastard. It's an absolute bastard. The other thing that happens, I had another friend, good friend in Australia, who had a Volkswagen Passat. Okay, beautiful car. He bought it a couple years old, and he lived in fear of a DSG gearbox failure. I mean, that was his biggest fear. Oh, the electrical, the GPS and the stereo system started playing up, and he thought, oh fuck, what happens if the DSG gearbox shits itself? And I mean, this is the thing. They use these very complicated gearboxes, now a 7-speed, to get the fuel economy and get the most out of a small engine. And this is what makes it exciting and beautiful to drive, but it comes at a cost. The cost is these parts are an absolute mozza. I mean, often with these gearboxes, they're a sealed unit. They're not meant to be serviceable. So you've got to slot in a new gearbox at thousands of dollars. And this is the problem with European cars. They, yes, you know, there's a good saying I read in the Dog and Lemon Guide, which is a New Zealand publication at your newsagents. Dog and Lemon Guide, it said, if you cannot afford a brand new E-Class Mercedes, there's no way in the world you can afford a second-hand one. And what they're saying is that the new ones, you pay big money, but they're reasonably reliable for 3 to 4 years, right? Second-hand one, they're a lot cheaper. Yes, you save, they're good value, but the repairs and running costs are horrendous. And you can't look at the cheap price of a second-hand European car and say, wow, what a saving. That's the down payment. That's the down payment. Bits will go that will cost you a fortune. And this is how it is with European cars there. They're really expensive to run. There's no two ways about it. They are expensive motor cars to run. And there's nothing much you can really do about it. I mean, that's just the reality we live in. I mean, they drive so beautifully, they've got nice feeling to them because of this technology. But once that technology fucks up, you're looking at thousands. I had a friend who had a Mercedes S320. I think it was a 2002 car. And the air suspension went. That is like $20,000 to fix. Nightmare. Absolute nightmare. And if you don't fix it, the car won't start. The computer system will not allow the car to start because it goes into protection mode to stop it being damaged. I mean, Jesus Christ. That is just terrible. And this is what happens to these cars. They are so expensive to maintain, and it's rather a shame. I mean, a lot of these cars are well-made cars. A lot of Volkswagens, you know, they're nicely, you look at them and they're nicely put together, but once they get a bit of age on them, they are a nightmare, an absolute nightmare to service and maintain. It costs a fortune, and this is the whole big problem with these type of cars. They are very attractive, they're beautiful, but you've got to be so careful with them. And you know, it's not a nice way to put it. I'd love to own a European car, but I got to tell you the truth, man. The cost of owning these things is horrendous. It's horrendous. And you got to be fucking prepared for big bills. It's so fucking sad. And, you know, I can remember as a kid, I remember, you know, my dream car was a W123 Mercedes. That's the Mercedes-Benz E-Class. This was the late 70s, early 80s, W123. And that car is affectionately known as the Beirut Taxi. Great car. And, you know, the one thing about that car is it doesn't have a lot of electronic stuff in it. Depending on the model, it may still have a fucking carburetor. And the thing about it is it didn't even have electric windows in a lot of models. It was a very, you know, the thing I loved about it was you could technically buy one and run the fucking thing for 20 years. You know, you're paying a lot of money for a Mercedes. If you can run the bastard for 20 years, hey, that's fantastic. But that's not how they're made anymore. They got a lot of little finicky little electronic bits, gizmos, which when they fuck up, you're looking at, you know, it's not so much that a modern Mercedes won't last 20 years. It's, you know, cars, luxury prestige cars are like aeroplanes. They'll keep flying as long as you keep throwing money at them. But where does that cost analysis, that equilibrium, where does it reach where you say it is not worth repairing or maintaining, it's cheaper to get a replacement? And this is what's happened. I mean, the old W123s, which you could run the bastards for 20 years, the current model, they're not like that. Okay, so, I mean, you compare a W123, I mean, a modern C-Class is probably similar sizings to a W123. Cars have gotten bigger over time, okay? So, you know, if you compare it to, say, a modern C, well, a modern C's not going to last fucking 20 years. There's so much electronic gizmos and gadgets. When the computer's fucked, the car's useless. It's worthless. It's absolutely worthless. And this is what's happened. And, you know, one thing I can't understand is I can't understand why makers like BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Volkswagen, they can't say, okay, we're going to make one model of car which is made to last a lifetime. When I say a lifetime, 20 years. And we're going to charge a slight premium for it, but we're going to simplify it. It's not going to have as much electronic gizmo in it because we're trying to extend the life of the car. And we're going to put instead of putting a turbo 4-cylinder engine, we're going to put a normally aspirated 6 in it. And this is the other thing. I mean, a lot of these European cars now, they're all moving towards turbo 4-cylinder engines with very complicated gearboxes. And that's just a fucking trouble in the long-term ownership equation. I mean, a normally aspirated low-revving 6 with a simple gearbox is going to be give you a lot more life than a high compression turbo or supercharged smaller engine. But it's for the European emission standards. That's why these European cars have gone this way. But I don't understand these makers. They should just make one model and say, you know, it's a car that's meant to last 20 years. Parts will be available. Simplify the fucking thing. You know, simplify it by saying, okay, we've got fixed price modules. Instead of having a lot of electronics, it's got a lot less. So you might have ABS and airbags, but you may not have a lot of, you know, traction control and shit like that. Put a 6-cylinder low-revving engine in. You know, just pay a little bit extra instead of using fucking stingy plastics. Make things in metal. And I reckon there'd be a market. Because, you know, one thing I really love to see is people who had these W123 Benzes who fucking look after them, and they lasted 20 years. You think, wow, this guy's cherished this car, he's looked after it, but he's used it, and it lasts the distance. And I reckon there must be other enthusiasts out there who would love to have a car which can last the distance. And I don't understand this fucking world we live in. You know, that's one thing. You know, everything is got built-in obsolescence. They want it to be fucked, so you buy a new one. It's just nasty. And I think it's a lot better if you could have things which were meant to last longer. I'm Archie Luxury. This has been my rant on European cars. Tell me what you fuckers think.